All right, peace and blessings to you all. First of all, I'd like to start by giving all praise and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, through His only begotten Son, by way of the Holy Spirit, and double honors to the apostles and elders who taught me this truth. Salutations to the elect, which are 144,000, the governing body of the future kingdom of heaven. In this video, I'd like to discuss angels amongst us, okay? Angels amongst us. Most of us are familiar with the verse that speaks on entertaining angels unawares, right? But without further ado, I'm going to start with the book of Psalm, chapter 103, verse 20. Bless the Lord, ye his angels, that excel in strength, that do his commandments, hearken unto the voice of his word. It says, bless the Lord, ye his angels, that excel in strength, that do his commandments, hearkening unto the voice of his word. We are the angels who do his work, and who keep his commandments to the best of our ability, and we hearken unto the voice of his word. And we know that the word angel simply means a messenger. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 7. And to the angel of the church in Philippi write. So this is the Messiah saying to write this to the messengers in the church of Philippi, right? And to the angel of the church in Philippi write. He said, write this. These things saith he that is holy, he that is true, he that hath the key of David. It's the Lord, our Messiah, that has the key of David. He that openeth and no man shutteth, and shutteth and no man openeth. Right. So the Lord is saying, write these things to the following, which I'm not going to go into. Write these things to the angels, to the messengers, to those who are going to go out there and spread the word. Give them these instructions. Now, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 10. For it's speaking of John the Baptist. For this is he of whom it is written, behold, I send my messenger before thy face, which shall prepare thy way before thee. I send my messenger. It's the word messenger. The word angel simply means messenger. There are messengers, there are angels, earthly angels, and there are heavenly angels at the same time. Also, that elect, which are having a human experience, are earthly angels. It's the scripture speaks of the elect, the 144,000. It's written there in the Bible. The 144,000, which are the governing body of the future kingdom of heaven. This is the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, or to them that love Yahweh, because the Most High God has an actual name. And so I'm going to use that interchangeably. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love Yahweh, to them who are called according to his purpose, for whom he did foreknow. These people, these elect, these 144,000, he knew them even before the beginning of time, because they were the first fruits that were created by his son. When he ordained for the world to be created, the Messiah created these 144,000 men. They were the first spirits that were created, and they're now having an earthly experience. They are angels on this earth. They're going to have spiritual powers, just like the Messiah upon his return. Pursuant to the book of 1 John 3 and 2. For whom he did foreknow, he also did predestinate. Okay, there's predestination. These people were chosen even before the foundation of the world to be conformed to the image of his son. So these people are going to have spiritual powers just like the Messiah, that he might be the firstborn among many brethren. These are the first fruits. They were the first spirits that were created that helped the Messiah to also create the earth. Moreover, whom he did predestinate, them he also called. So these people were predestinated. They were chosen even before the foundation of the earth, right? And these are the ones that he called. And whom he called, them he also justified. And whom he justified, them he also glorified. What shall we then say to these things? If Yahweh be for us, who can be against us? So these 144,000 men, these elect, they are, they are the priority as far as the government. They are basically, how you would consider the first family or so on and so forth. They are at the top of the hierarchy as far as the so-called human race is concerned, and as far as the government of Israel is concerned, the future kingdom of heaven. When I say the government of Israel, the future kingdom of heaven, the tabernacle of David. right? Moreover, whom he did predestinate, them he also called, and whom he called, them he also justified, and whom he justified, them he also glorified. What shall we then say to these things? If God be for us, who can be against us? If Yahweh be for us, who can be against us? He that spared not his own son, but delivered him up for us all, how shall he not with him also freely give us all things? Even the Messiah, who is the highest form of angel, the highest angel, he will also die, but so to speak. The Lord gave him up for us. All right. Now, this is the book of Jude, chapter 6. And the angels which kept not their first estate, but left their own habitation, he hath reserved in everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day. So these angels who kept not their first estate, these are referring to the elect who did not keep their glorified state, but they were sent down here on earth to have this earthly experience, this fleshly experience, because this flesh is a chain. It's a chain of sickness, chain of ill thoughts, chain of just depression, and chain of just feelings that we want to escape. And these elect, these angels, they are having that experience, reserved in everlasting chains. Everlasting simply means for a time period. It's just like if you say everlasting love. Your everlasting love, your partner is going to pass away sometime, but you can still say that, meaning for a time period. You don't know how long it's going to be. It's an everlasting chains under darkness unto the judgment of the great day, right? If it was forever, it wouldn't be until a judgment. It's telling you that it's going to end after the judgment comes, when most of these governments, these kingdoms are destroyed with thermonuclear fire, and the kingdom of heaven is established, right? And these angels, these elect, will now be glorified again with the Messiah upon his return, and the kingdom of heaven will be established. This is the book of John, chapter 17, verse 9. I pray for them, I pray not for the world, but for them which thou hast given me, for they are thine. See, I pray for them. These are the elect. I pray not for the world, not for the whole world. For God so loved the word world is a Greek word that means a sect, a community. In the same way that you have the world of basketball, the world of this, the world of that. I pray for them. I pray not for the world. He doesn't pray for the rest of the world, but for them which thou hast given me, for they are thine. He prays for the elect, that they may be able to endure the hardship of the human experience. This is the book going, just a further explanation, people's favorite verse, John 3:16. For God so loved the world, or for Yahweh so loved the world, that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. This world that he's talking about is the world of Israel, because he was talking to Nicodemus, one of the rulers of the Jews, right? A Pharisee, one of the rulers of the Jews. He was talking to Nicodemus, and they were under Roman rule. They were under Roman occupation. They were being oppressed by the Romans. So he was not talking about, the Romans had nothing to be saved from. The Israelites had always been under occupation, whether it be under the Babylonians, the Medo-Persians, the Greeks, and then ultimately under the Romans. And now with all these nations, these European nations, which are an extension of Rome, are still under occupation. We're still being oppressed, which are the Negroes, the blacks, Latinos, and the Native Americans, which are the biblical Israelites. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 45, verse 17. But Israel, shall be saved in the Lord with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. Israel is the world without end. The government of Israel, the kingdom of Israel. The Israelites are the world without end. But Israel shall be saved in the Lord. Salvation is for the Israelites. That's why the Messiah came, to save the Israelites out of their miserable state, out of their slavery that they had always been in, whether it be slavery under Egypt. The Lord always sent a Messiah, firstly in the form of Moses to bring them out, and ultimately, in the greatest Messiah in the form of his son, his only begotten son, our Messiah, Hamashiach Yahushai, to bring us out permanently out under these nations and establish the kingdom of heaven. So Israel is that world without end that it refers to in John 3:16. When it talks about For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever, it's talking about Israel, whosoever, they were talking about themselves, and the people who were under Roman occupation. It wasn't talking about the Romans who were oppressing them. He was talking about the people who were under Roman oppression, right? Because it was talking to Nicodemus. There's always context in the scriptures. All right, moving right along. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 15, verse 22. This is just to piggyback on that, for the sake of supporting the point I just made. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coasts and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. You see, he came from the lineage of David. She called him the son of David, but he was not actually the son of David in the sense of like David's actual son. It was Solomon. Solomon was the son of David. All right, so even though the Messiah did, there is reincarnation, and the Messiah did, in fact, was Solomon before he came as the Messiah. And scripture says to prove all things, and we are going to prove that, right? And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, Have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. But he answered her not a word. He didn't say anything to her. This is a woman who needed help, but he didn't say anything to her. He just ignored her. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, Send her away. Like this woman, you see, the Jews, they wanted nothing to do with the other nations, right? And for she crieth after us. The disciples said, Send her away. But he answered and said, so now he's going to talk to her. He said, he's saying to her now, Matthew 15 and 24, but he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. The Messiah only came for the Israelites, to save the Israelites, point blank, period. All these other nations, especially the Europeans, this is their kingdom of heaven. America and Europe, and they have nothing to be saved from. They never had anything to be saved from. Point blank, period. The laws, the Lord's laws, statutes, and commandments were only given to the Israelites, and each time they broke it, he put them into slavery. So they are the ones who needed to be saved from oppression, from all the captivities that they went into. Point blank, period. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 1, verse 26. And I will restore thy judges as at the first. I will restore thy judges as at the first, as at the beginning, and thy counselors as at the beginning. Afterward, thou shalt be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. So this is after all these kingdoms are destroyed and the kingdom of heaven is established. Our kingdom will be established, and the judges are the elect, the 144,000. He will restore them, from this fleshly earth, because they, a lot of them are living on the earth right now, and they're in a miserable condition. I mean, some of them may be wealthy, but ultimately having material wealth does not mean that you don't still suffer the pains that a human being suffers, right? All right, so now this is the book of Ephesians, chapter 1, verse 4. According as he hath chosen us in him before the foundation of the world. So these elect were chosen even before the foundation of the earth. According as he hath chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love. Okay, this is speaking to, he chose the elect even before the world was created. They were the first fruits that were created, before the foundation, before the world was established. This is the book of John, chapter 15, verse 26. But when the Comforter is come, whom I will send unto you from the Father, even the Spirit of truth. The Comforter is the Spirit of truth. That's just how the scriptures speaks. It's telling you who the Comforter is. Even the Spirit of truth, which proceedeth from the Father, he shall testify of me. And ye also shall bear witness, because ye have been with me from the beginning. Ye have been with me from the beginning. This is the Messiah. The elect were with him from the beginning. These are the angels that are, the angels of the Lord, which are on the earth right now. That some of them are, you may have encountered some of them, and you may have mistreated some of them, and you'll be judged for that. Point blank, period. Right? And ye also shall bear witness, because ye have been with me from the beginning. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So the Messiah was there, in the beginning with the Lord. And after which the elect came, because the elect were with him. They were the first fruits that he created, the first spirits that he created, who are now inhabiting spiritual, physical bodies. Right, this is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 36, verse 15. Give testimony unto those that thou hast possessed from the beginning. Ecclesiasticus, the book of Sirach, which is one of the books that were taken out by the deceitful Roman Catholic Church. Give testimony unto those that thou hast possessed from the beginning, and raise up prophets that have been in my name. Give testimony unto those that thou hast possessed from the beginning. So these elect were with the Lord from the beginning. These so-called angels, these messengers, were with the Lord were with the Messiah from the beginning. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 14:4. These are they which were not defiled with women. It doesn't mean that they haven't had any sexual intercourse or anything. It just means that they have not been defiled with the doctrines of this earth. That they are standing in the truth of the gospel and the truth of what the Messiah left, with us through Peter, when he said, "I will give unto you the keys to the kingdom of heaven." So he entrusted the truth in Peter, and Peter passed that down through his disciples now even unto us. That's why we have this understanding even until today. These are they which are not defiled with women, for they are virgins. They're not actual virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb wheresoever he goeth. These are redeemed from among men, being the first fruits unto God, unto Yahweh, and to the Lamb. Right? This is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 16. And what agreement hath the temple of Yahweh with idols? For ye are the temple of the living God, for ye are the temple of the living power. As Yahweh hath said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Right? What agreement do the elect have with idols? Which are like all these philosophies, and basically saying that they were not defiled with women. They're not defiled with all these other cultures and all these religions and all these ideologies and philosophies. They have no. They are the temple of the Lord. Going back to Revelation 21:3. Behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he shall dwell with them, and they shall be his people. God himself shall be with them and be their God. So these elect are literally the temple of the Most High God. In the same way that the Messiah is the temple of the Lord, they are also the temple of the Lord, because they are an extension of the Messiah. They are his co-heirs, his co-princes, his co-governors, who are going to rule this earth and govern it in righteousness once all these kingdoms are destroyed. Moving right along, this is the book of Exodus, chapter 29, verse 45. And I will dwell among the children of Israel and will be their God. He's not going to dwell amongst the whole world. He'll dwell amongst the children of Israel. We are the beacon of light. We're going to dominate this earth once the kingdom of heaven is established, and all kingdoms will flow to us. All kingdoms will be subjugated under us, under the Israelites, because we are pursuant to the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 6. For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 5, verse 13. Therefore my people are gone into captivity, because they have no knowledge, and their honorable men and are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst. Therefore hell hath enlarged herself and opened her mouth without measure, and their glory and their multitude and their pomp, and he that rejoiceth shall descend into it, shall descend into hell. Hell is a state of being, is a physical condition. When you see the Negroes or who are the Israelites, the biblical bloodline, also the Latinos, they are in hell right now. They are in a state of misery. They're on food stamps. They're on, they're at the bottom of the bottom. Everybody laughs at them. They have the worst culture. They kill each other in the streets of Chicago and in all the other streets. They are in hell. Therefore he that enlargeth himself, that enlarged herself, and opened her mouth without measure, and their glory, and their multitude, and their pomp, and he that rejoiceth shall descend into it. Said, therefore hell hath enlarged herself. This misery, that have been created by all these nations have enlarged herself. Especially the misery that has been created by the so-called Europeans, which are the extension of Rome at this very moment, which is the last captivity that we're going to be in before the kingdom of heaven is established. And the mean man, basically the great man, the mean man, if you know anything on mathematics, mean, median, mode. Mean, high, median, the middle point, mode, the lowest point. And the mean man shall be brought down, the high man shall be brought down, And the mighty man shall be humbled, and the eyes of the lofty shall be humbled. So these elect men, these princes of the Most High God, they're here on the earth. They're walking. Some of them are probably bums, but still preaching the gospel. Not bums in that sense, but in the sense of they only have enough. Anyways, moving right along. This is the book of Psalm, chapter 116, verse 3. The sorrows of death compassed me, and the pains of hell got hold upon me. I found trouble and sorrow. This is King David saying, the sorrows of death compassed me, and the pains of hell. The pains of hell. Hell is a condition. The pains of hell got hold upon me. I found trouble and sorrow. If King David, if the pains of hell, got hold of King David, then who are you as just a regular Israelite? This hell is the lake of hell, or hellfire, is the consequence of the thermonuclear fires, but hell itself is a condition of being. If a person who is sick, ill with cancer or whatever, is in hell. A person who has diabetes and has to have their limbs cut off and so on and so forth is in hell, is in a state of hell. This is the book of 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 18. For Hamashiach also hath once suffered for sins. This is proven that that the Messiah came, that King Solomon was the Messiah, and that he reincarnated. Reincarnation is a real thing. I'm going to prove that right now. For Hamashiach, or for Christ, for the Messiah also hath once suffered for sins. Everyone knows that the Messiah did not sin, but now it's saying that he suffered for sins. When did he sin? He was sinless. And I'm gonna tell you, the scriptures is gonna tell you, right? And from Hamashiach also hath once suffered for sins, the just for the unjust, that he might bring us to Yahweh, that he might bring us to God, being put to death in flesh, but quickened by the Spirit, by which also he went and preached unto the spirits in prison. You can't put spirits in prison, but it's speaking of these elect, these men that were chosen, who are in a state of prison, in the sense of this body is a prison, because we cannot escape it. We cannot escape the hell that this body brings to us. Sometimes you feel like doing something and people provoke you or whatever it is, and those feelings itself is like a state of being in hell, because you can't escape it. You cannot escape that anger, that rage, that feeling or whatever. You cannot if you're in a state of sickness, you cannot escape that. So it's a prison. It holds your spirit. This is so now proven that the Messiah was in fact King Solomon, and that the reason why he had to come and suffer for his sins was because of what he did as Solomon. This is the book of 2 Samuel chapter 7 verse 12. And when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee. It's talking to David. When thy days be fulfilled, after your time is up, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers when you die, I will set up thy seed, that his seed is Solomon. Everyone knows that King David's son is Solomon. I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. We know that the kingdom does not belong to Solomon. The kingdom belongs to the Messiah. I will establish his kingdom. He shall build a house of my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. The throne is not King Solomon's throne forever. It's the Messiah's throne forever, who the world calls Jesus Christ. It is his throne forever. So it's saying he shall build a house of my name. It's called the Temple of Solomon. It was Solomon that completed the temple, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. So Solomon was the Messiah before he came back. Solomon, we know that he went off and into idols because of all the wives and the women that he basically entangled himself with, and so on and so forth. So when the Messiah returned as Solomon, he was paying for his sins. He had to pay for his sins through death. And that's what that verse that I just read earlier was saying about how when the Messiah sinned, and so on and so forth. If God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, then no. What verse? Therefore, my people, no. Okay, the 1 Peter chapter 3 verse 18, for Christ also hath once suffered for sins. He suffered for sins. He didn't have a sin, so why did he have to suffer for sins? It's telling you why he had to suffer for sins. You know who the world calls Christ the Messiah. It's because he was Solomon. 2 Samuel chapter 7, and when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build an house for my name. It was Solomon that built the house for his name. And I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. It's telling you that Solomon is King David, because the throne does not belong to Solomon. It belongs, it's telling you that Solomon is the Messiah, or was the Messiah, because the kingdom does not belong to Solomon. It belongs to the Messiah forever. The kingdom forever belongs to the Messiah. And we're going to further prove reincarnation again. It says, he shall build an house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men. If he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men, and with the stripes of the children of men. But my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, when I put away before thee. And thine house and thy kingdom shall be established forever before thee. Thy throne shall be established forever. You know, the throne of David, which belongs to the Messiah. Now, this is proven that reincarnation does actually exist. This is the book of John, chapter 9, verse 1. And Jesus, and Yahushai, because his name was not Jesus. And as Yahushai passed by, he saw a man which was blind from birth. When the Messiah was passing by, he saw this man that was blind from birth. And his disciples asked him, saying, Master, who did sin, this man or his parents, that he was born blind? Who sinned? Did he sin, or did his parents sin? Why was he born blind? It's telling you that he's paying for something that he did in his previous life. Who did sin? Who did sin? This man or his parents, that he was born blind? Why was he born blind? Did he sin in his past life, or did his parents sin? This is the proof of reincarnation right here. And Yahushua answered, neither hath this man sinned nor his parents, but that the work of Yahweh, that the work of God should be made manifest in him. So he said that in this particular example, this man did not sin, or his father, his parents did not sin. It was just that the Lord set it up that way, so that at this very point in time, I will be able to do this miracle, and so that the Lord, the Lord's name, the Lord's power will be established and shown. That proves reincarnation. This is the book of 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 6. For this cause was the gospel preached also to them that are dead. You can't preach the gospel to those that are dead. It's talking about those that are spiritually dead, particularly the elect, right? Because they have to be reawakened. For this cause was the gospel preached also to them that are dead, that they might be judged according to men in flesh, because they're now in the flesh, but live according to God in spirit, but live according to Yahweh in spirit. These men are going to have spiritual powers just like the Messiah. And, even though they were dead spiritually, they're now being awakened, and, because they are in the flesh of men. For this cause was the gospel preached also to them that are dead, that they might be judged according to men in the flesh. These 144,000, even though they're going to be glorified like the Most High, they're being judged according to men. Some of them are maybe locked up right now. Some of them are going through hell, maybe on child support or whatever. They're being judged according to men in the flesh. But live according to God in the spirit. But live according to Yahweh in the spirit. This is the book of Isaiah chapter 42 verse 7. To open the blind eyes, to bring out the prisoners from the prison, and them that sit in darkness out of the prison house. This is speaking of, a metaphorical prison, a metaphorical blindness, because the elect have to be awakened. Even so, in the same fashion that, just the average regular Israelite is being awakened and finding out that they are the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, the blacks, Latinos, and the Native Americans. The elect are going to be amongst them and going to find out that they are Israelites also. They're going to be awakened just like all the other Israelites. This is the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 6 verse 3. Know ye not that we shall judge angels? This is speaking of the elect. Even the elect are higher than the angels. Even though they're in the flesh right now. Know ye they're higher than the actual, the angels of, they're angels of the earth and they're angels of the heaven. Know ye not that we shall judge angels? How much more things that pertain to this life? These elect are going to have dominion over the whole earth. This is the book of 1 John chapter 3 starting at verse 1. which is necessary to bring out. Behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God, the sons of Yahweh. These are the sons of God, just like the way, in the same way that the Messiah is the Son of God, these 144,000 men are the sons of God. You know, behold, what manner of love the Father hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of God, the sons of Yahweh. Therefore the world knoweth us not, because it knew him not. You know, the world doesn't know. You know, you walk past these men, and you will not even know that these are the sons of God. You know, they don't know that they're the sons of God. But the only way, that's why we call ourselves a hopeful elect. And it's based on us doing this work and preaching the gospel and staying, you know, keeping the Lord's law, statutes, and commandments. Behold, now are we the sons of God, and it does not yet appear what we shall be, but we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. See what I mean? We shall see him as he is. Behold, meaning that we're going to be just like him. The elect, the hopeful elect. We're going to be just like the Messiah. This is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 4, starting off with verse 17. For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding than an external weight of glory. So we're going through hell right now, but it compares to nothing. It compares nothing to what we're going to have, the everlasting glory that we're going to have when the kingdom is established. While we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal. So, you know, there's no, it's hardly any physical evidence of the glory that the elect are going to receive right now, but it's an absolute fact. You know, we believe it through the Spirit, through faith. All right. This is the book of Philippians, chapter 3, verse 21. Who shall change our vile body, that it may be fashioned like unto his glorious body, according to the working whereby he is able even to subdue all things. So the Messiah is going to change our vile body, this corrupt body, right? In the same way that he has power over everything. He has power over our bodies to change our vile body into a body just like his. Philippians chapter 3, verse 21. Who shall change our vile body, that it may be fashioned like unto his glorious body, according to the working whereby he is able to subdue all things unto himself. Last but not least, this is the book of John chapter 17, verse 22. And the glory which thou givest me, I have given them. So the glory which the Lord gave, the Father gave to his Son, he has given the elect also. And the glory which thou givest me, I have given them, that they may be one, even as we are one. So we're part of the Messiah. We're part of the Most High God. I mean, Lord willing. You know, that's why we call ourselves the hopeful elect, because we don't really know who's the elect and who isn't. That's why the scripture says, be diligent to make that calling and election sure. Okay, verse 23, John chapter 17, 23. I in them and thou in me, that they may be made perfect in one, and that the world may know that thou hast sent me, and has loved me, and has loved them as thou hast loved me. So the Lord has loved them as the Lord loves his elect, just the way he loves his only begotten Son, because they are his sons also, right? The last verse, verse 24, John 17, 24. Father, I will that they also whom thou hast given me, it was the Lord that gave them to him, whom thou hast given me, be with me where I am, that they may behold my glory, which thou hast given me. For thou lovest me before the foundation of the world. All right, with that, I'm going to say peace and blessings to you all. On to the next one.